do this for like almost like 5 to 10 minutes. We'll fill it out. So just take some time to really read it. looking at it some, but when you feel ready, I would just like for people to start saying what they see. So we're really trying to look at what you notice about the student work, kind of the low inference observations you probably talked about in other classes. So yes, what you see.
The first one that jumped out to me was sort of the multiple displays of the answers, and I'll be more specific. I'm seeing in the top right up there what appears to be a visual representation. You've got the numeric equations to the left, and then below, two answers that are essentially written sentences describing how the work should be done and all of that. So I see some variety.
And other people can like chime in their own.
I feel the quality of the work is very meticulous, especially the phrasings for answers to questions 2 and 3. She makes it, he or she, see, I assume it's a she, but I might be wrong. So the student makes a point to phrase the sentences completely and fully. Yeah.
So he or she uses complete sentences. So you're saying.
Based on the questions phrasing.
In the second answer, I noticed that she used the word distance. Second last, where it says 12 degrees Fahrenheit, because the distance between 11 degrees Fahrenheit.
I also noticed the order of this space where you got sort of different representations. I was interested in that order.
What do you mean by that order?
So you've got sort of number lines on the far right, and then a table sort of thing in the middle, and then to the left, more like a mathematical sentence.
Okay.
Yeah, I think like what you were saying, Cameron, is that like it seems like I'm wondering if the table like helped the student to see how to do the number line, like if did they do it in that order, like okay, this is sentence, now I'm gonna make a table, and that table's gonna help me do the number line, or I don't know, yeah.
So you see, I guess to try and phrase it in a way that's more descriptive, the things that you're seeing to make you say it. You're seeing all of this work and you're wondering about the order.
Yeah, that's the order that and if they're related, I guess.
I also noticed in number 3, the answer on the third line, the phrase, the answer has to be 2.
I noticed that the student wrote F for Fahrenheit small, like the degree symbol.
I also noticed this red graph squares. It doesn't have
Other people see what you're talking about.
Right,
Yes.
And I can't tell whether or not there's been anything done to that by the student. Doesn't look like.
Also see what appear to be direct responses to the questions asked. So what was the difference in degrees Fahrenheit for number 2? The difference between the temperatures in degrees Fahrenheit is blah, blah, blah. Same thing with number 3. Explicit answers.
I noticed that for question 3, the student decided to answer in short sentences instead of mathematical workings.
What makes you say short sentences?
Because the student was trying to explain the answers in words instead of representing it in mathematical symbols.
also noticed that in the third answer, the first number, it has the degrees and the F, and the numbers that followed do not.
And now that you mention it, the one in the third answer is the only one that looks like that. Everything else was just that one line. Every other one, this is the more elaborate one.
Do you, the other
Is
people
that what
see
she's
it?
talking about?
No, no.
Yeah.
Everywhere else.
One.
So literally the way that he or she wrote it with the extra line and underline underneath the one.
It has
That's a good eye.
Special one.
And we are on numbers. I noticed on an answer for number 2, the very last one is 12. She the student started out instead of writing out the
Good
number.
eye. Good job.
In the 3 number lines on the top right, the bottom, each number is labeled. So -1, 0, 1, 2, 3. And there are little tick marks to show where those positions are. The other 2 don't have those.
Do you see the labels that we talking about? See.
Oh. Yes. You're saying the last of the 3 has each number got it. Got it.
I also noticed on this, the second and third space after the equal signs, they're blank. So on the first one there's an equation or there's a sentence on each side of the equal sign. 11 minus 15 equals 11 plus negative 15. But then below, there's not a second piece.
Good.
I see that, yes. The similar, like along those lines, like the other 2 that don't have something to the right of the equal sign, those aren't subtraction sentences, whereas the first one is subtraction.
We're gonna keep going with this description for a few more minutes.
I don't really know what to make of it or if it's significant or relevant at all, but in number 3, when she or he is explaining how they got the answer, the repetitive use of the you have to divide by 10, and so Friday had to be, I'll try not to add any significance to that, but I find that interesting.
Can you say that one more time before we
So
get back to
I'll read it. I'm sorry, I'll read it. So the temperature in degrees Fahrenheit on Friday is 1 degree because if you divide by 5 and the answer has to be 2, you have to divide by 10. Excuse me, you have to divide 10 by 5, Monday through Thursday. Oh my gosh, I'm struggling
You
with
said
that
this.
punctuation. Yeah. Monday through Thursday was equal to 9, so Friday had to be 1. I don't know
Okay,
where
so
why.
you're noticing
Some interesting speech patterns. I don't know what that is. Come back to me.
I also noticed that both answers 2 and 3 have the phrase equal to. So at the end, is equal to, was equal to.
Almost juxtaposed with answer number 3 where it's had to be. Yeah, thank you.
I noticed there's 3 dots in front of 11, somewhere at the top right, where you have the cross plus minus, right? So you have these 3 dots just in front of 11.
See, people see those little
Yes.
tiny
Yeah.
dots.
Wait, is it possible that that's part of the photograph? Does it have to see dots down here?
It's possible, but it's something we
Okay.
see, so I think that we will just take it as an observation.
I love the handwriting. It's really neat.
What do you see that makes you say the handwriting is neat?
I can read it.
Okay.
The font size is large enough. Yeah.
Great.
Things don't stick together.
Also notice the word mathematics at the top. I actually think it's
And the stop sign at the bottom right is
Oh, okay.
all right. Say something about the tense in question 3 or answer 3. The question asked it in past tense. She started off with the present tense, then reverted to the past tense towards the end. Is one.
Can you?
Okay, so right, so technically, if he or she wanted to follow, he or she would say the temperature in degrees Celsius on Friday was 1 degrees. But he or she said is 1, and it continues in the present tense. If you divide, the answer has to be you have to. Monday to Thursday, then reverts back to was equal. So Friday had. Past tense.
So the transition to was and had in the last
Yeah.
sentence after using present
Yeah.
in the first one.
Notice on the actual work page, the instructions for all 3 say show or explain. I think that's interesting.
I noticed for the, just beside the table, the very first line, 11 negative or minus 15 equals to 11 plus. There's this sign that looks like a negative, but it seems to be skewed slightly to the top of the number, instead of being on the same level of plus.
So we're gonna, on that note, move on to some reflections from the presenting teacher. You can share whatever you would like, and you don't have to answer all the questions that were posed that you might have answers to.
Okay. First, I want to give you some context on who this student is. So this was a 7th grade student. They did have an understanding of variable, but we hadn't done problems with like that average type as much using the variable. So this student is really intelligent, but she really struggled, it's a female, on putting her knowledge into writing on assessments. And so the reason you see this being so formal with math and the stop is because this was an MCAS, which is like our official test, an open response. And every time we do an open response, we practice it on here so the kids are used to the format. And I had selected this work because one, I was really proud of her because she had done so well and it was kind of like a confidence boost because normally she doesn't do so well. And I also did feel like it was an exemplar for the rest of the class to see. You are probably seeing her second draft of her work. She was a really hard worker, so she probably did this somewhere else and then wrote it up like this. And we gave them strategies that you guys picked up on with like the show or explain and to use the sentence of the question in your answer. Those were strategies that we gave them to work with to help them making sure their answer is clear. And similar up here, these are all procedural methods. So the number line is something we gave them as a strategy. We call this the scoreboard as a strategy. So it's different ways to determine the sum or the subtraction of two integers. Really interesting conversation, and just a few things that stood out to me. This last one, I've been reading it over and over more and more, and I think Cameron, you said that her answer has to be 2, and like that is confusing. Like it's just that you thought, I think she would be more cautious potentially, because the answer should be the answer to the problem, and that there is no word mean or average. And I do wonder if I asked her to explain it to somebody, if she'd be able to. I'm not sure. But I do think she gets it in her head, like you said. And then that last piece you guys just brought up about dropping the degree sign, I think she may have started to get confused and be like, I'm just gonna not put it, that way I know. And the one other thing that I thought really resonated with what you guys said is, like the multiple methods, what she do, they don't connect, you're right. Like it's not like a sequential thing where she's like, this is, so the 11 minus 15 does lead to the 11 plus negative 15, but otherwise nothing else helps you get to the next one. So it was this process of like, let me just cover all my bases and show everything. And I wonder why she did that, because 1 would be sufficient, but you get drilled it too much. Yeah. Is there anything else I wanted to share with you guys? Those are the things that really stood out to me.
You can keep contributing, you don't have to stay so
Yeah,
anymore.
I'll keep talking now as things come up, but yeah, thank you.